Yeah, you can see the video. Okay, so as you can see, you've seen that we're going to start now, and I'm going to start sharing the slide as well. So just bear with me before I get in. I don't know, to have a quick hi to all of us as well. Just bear with us as I share my screen with all of you, and yeah, chat. Off you go, fantastic. Okay, so if I can, Elinor, if you can just a quick say hi before I introduce you, please. If you can put your video on, Elinor, and a quick hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Elinor. So thank you for being here. Huge appreciate. Can we have a big round of applause for Elinor from Melbourne? 7 hours difference from here today. It's 10 o'clock in Mauritius right now, and it's 5 p.m. It was supposed to be 4 p.m., but the clock changes, and we were panicking as well whether it's going to be 9 or 10. So, Elinor, just quickly, what are we expecting quickly before I introduce you, and then obviously we'll wait for your presentation.
Thank you so very much, Anil. What you will learn from me today is the experts industry. I will be going through with you what the risk profile for professionals really is. I will show you what extreme ownership of your career looks like and why it's important now more than ever. I'll be talking about why professionals need a brand and what expert positioning actually means and its positive implications for your career and how this allows you to influence your income.
Excellent. Thank you, Elinor. We can't thank you enough. So let's do a quick introduction. I've got a quick surprise for you as well as to how I got to know you. Because obviously, I only got to know you about, I don't know, we got connected about 6 months ago. Your book came out as well. But I want to show you how I get connected. And I think I want to do this more than anything else because the power of social media, especially LinkedIn, is incredible, you know, and without LinkedIn, we would not be here today. So let me give you a nice introduction before we start. So if you can switch off your video quickly, Elinor, and we'll get back to you in about 10 minutes. All right, so if you can see my screen, everyone, please put your hands up if you can see my screen. And yeah, fantastic. Let me just make sure I've got the video as well and before we start. Okay. All right, so thank you. We're gonna make a start. Good morning, everyone from Mauritius. Thank you for the webinar CPD talk on how to position yourself as the expert by Elinor Moshe, founder of the Construction Coach, podcast host of Constructing You, and author of Constructing Your Career. Fantastic, love it as well. A great role model for the world in the construction and leadership industry. So next up the agenda quickly, we'll have a quick housekeeping or e-keeping if you like, introduction, survey, part 1, part 2 presentation. I'll have Q&A as well. Put your questions in. Any questions, please put it in. It's a great opportunity to get question asked to Elinor as well. And then finally we conclude as well. So quickly, I think most of you know that, but if you have a desktop, the view option PC is top of screen. The audio screen on your PC is bottom left, and if you want to raise a hand for anything, to validate something, please raise your hand. Submit question and comments on the Q&A tab. We'll take that from there. And if you want to leave the meeting, of course, because not because you're bored, but purely because you have to go, then leave the meetings on the right-hand side. If you're using a tablet or a mobile, I think all the options are below or on top, depending on the configuration of your tablet or mobile. There'll be some poll as well, asking you some quick question as well to make it engaging. So, Gorgans, and thank you to everyone. There'll be a certificate attendance as well. Please email me after the event. Don't leave it after a month because I'll forget. Email me at anil@cpdtalk.com, and don't email me now after the event is over, please. anil@cpdtalk.com, and it's going to be 1 hour plus CPD, hopefully. And of course, we can't thank enough Elinor for giving back her time from Australia, from Melbourne today as well. And I'm so happy and delighted to have her, and genuine honor to have her today as well. So who I am then, I think most of you know, love construction, love learning, love sharing, love people, passionate about giving back, 18 years plus, and I'm humble, privileged to have my 99 CPD today. And it's been crazy. I've shown Elinor the list of 99 today, and it's all thanks to you and your support and the energy that you gave me to keep going on. So I want to start quickly with, I think it's nice to put a bit of context with Elinor. Where are you watching us from today? So your first name and country. So if you can just go into menti.com, menti.com, and type in 5607112. And I'm going to share the screen on menti.com right now. And then you will be able to see people coming in. So here we go. And I'm just gonna, so if you can just type in menti.com, your name, your first name as well, just to have a bit of context, where you're from. We have 127 of you right now, which is a fantastic number, of course. So thank you very much indeed. And if you can just type in menti.com and put in the country, your name as well. You can have your first name. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anybody. We've got Bianca from South Africa, Andy from Mauritius, Malaysia as well. Obviously, lots of colleagues from Mauritius, and we've got Sri Lanka. We've got Priyanka from Mauritius as well. Singapore, Turkey, Abdullah, nice to see you. Fatima. So yeah, plenty of people all over the world, and we had 450 from 6 different continents registered for this webinar. So thank you very much. And we've got Pranav. We've got Nirvana from Australia. Rahul from India, Corridor from Kenya. So thank you, Zaina from Nigeria, Shreya from USA. So more or less cover the 6 continents today. Thank you. We've got Pakistan as well. Fantastic to see colleague from Pakistan, Xavier from Mauritius. So it's great to have you all, guys. Please put in it, we'll have a check later. But at least to give a bit of context to Elinor about, you know, the way he's going to be talking about. We've got more from RSA and lots of colleagues from Dubai and UAE as well. So thank you very much indeed, guys. Please keep putting in. 45 of you have put in. So thank you for being here. So I'm just going to stop that and then move on to share the screen again, and then go back to the screen. So I want to share with you quickly this regarding the Elinor's podcast. So Elinor has a podcast on the iPhone, or you can also have that access on your Android. But I think what Elinor goes on to say is that one of the most common lessons parted on my podcast, Constructing You, is having patience is absolutely key. It's not easy to do podcasts. I listen to a podcast almost every day, plus other postcards as well. But being impatient can be quitting too soon, when your results were just around the corner. Being impatient also reduces the joy in the processes and the work. Patience is certainly a virtue. You know, I love that bit as well. We'll also Elinor shortly about that, but definitely log into the podcast for Elinor. Great speakers, great leaders, and I love the podcast. Every Sunday it comes out around lunchtime, depending where you are as well. So I'm just going to show you a quick video before we introduce Elinor. And the video was done at the back of a podcast, I believe. But again, this is all surprises to Elinor, but we are all learning as well. So let me share that with you, and then we will kickstart that. Here we go, and off we go. Again, if you can hear the sound and the the video as well, please put your hands up as well.
The property and construction industries are people industries after all, except when we look at our built environment and ask who built this, the name is that of a company. But who are the people behind the projects? Who are the people who have vision and who bring these projects to life? That's why my new podcast, Constructing You, shares the stories of the people behind the projects, and I'm starting at the top. I'll be sharing interviews with industry titans and exemplary leaders with you. I don't only want to find out what they do, but also who they are and who they've had to become in order to achieve what they have. What does it take to have an exemplary career in property and construction today? Because I want to inspire and ignite you to become more than just a technically apt person on projects. I want you to become an exemplary, exceptional, and excellent person behind the projects by learning from the people who have already made it. I want you to aim as high as the skyscrapers in your career and life via sharing the successful journeys of others so you can see what is possible. There is no other podcast like this which helps you build both your career and your life in the building industry. So are you ready to come on this journey with me? Let's go.
Okay, so I thought I'd share that with you all. I think I really love that as well. So fantastic. And can I, again, big round of applause for Elinor on this, for this great video as well, that we all get inspired of course. So I'm just going to move on quickly. And I just want to touch quickly on the few quotes. So this is the book, if you want to go on Kindle as well, and we'll talk about that as well later. I've read the book and I'll highlight a few quotes as well. So this book, let me just make sure I've got the video as well. So this book will only work for you if you're wired in the following ways. You're not afraid to do the work and can demonstrate enough discipline to get the result. You won't quit when something doesn't work out for you after one trial. You're ambitious, driven, and dedicated enough to play the long-term game. And then also, being in the construction industry, she talked about the construction industry offers immense intellectual challenges. I'm sure we've been through there, that bringing construction, technology, architect, business legalities, and even ethics all together from a management perspective. A few more quotes. What matters the most is your set of attributes, cultural alignment to an organization, and willingness to learn. At entry-level position, companies aren't looking at your great technical aptitude that they can teach. They're looking for the unteachable, such as drive, ambition, hunger, passion, which is why your why matters. And then building on that, I think there's one thing I wanted to share there. A lot of people watching today, it is worth reviewing the feasibility of higher education in construction. It is well recognized that a degree is not a requirement to start your career in construction. What you need is for someone to give you that chance. And I'm sure many of us got a chance. Some of us haven't got a chance, but I'm sure you will get a chance one day. And then before I get formal introduction, this is what I learned. As with any business venture or new project, it is imperative to know your why. What's the why for starting this business? Why is the project important? Why is this best idea, the best venture, the best way to go about it? For you, it will be, why do I want to develop and succeed my career in construction? What does it mean to me? Why am I doing this? Maybe there was something in your past which has pushed you here and sparked that interest. Very, very important. So this is a picture where I think you know this young lady. So let me see if I can. So this is Nirvana, a sister of mine in Australia, chartered QS. And Nirvana said, thank you, Elinor, for the amazing event. I had a great time and gained a lot of great insight from it. Elinor, you're an inspiration to the construction industry, women, inspiring women. So thanks to Nirvana, I managed to really get to know Elinor today. So I will probably see if we can have Nirvana on board and promote her to panelists today. And Nirvana and Elinor, if you can put your video quickly. I just wanted to introduce Nirvana to you live. And if you can put your video on, please, Nirvana. you're watching from Australia, and thanks to you, we've been able to. So, Nirvana, just quickly, your thoughts on Elinor before we've really launched. I know, we're doing a bit of introduction, but thank you, Nirvana, for giving me the opportunity to get to know Elinor. But what did you learn when you met Elinor before we really start the presentation?
Yeah. So first I'll introduce myself. I'm Nirvana Rampasad and I'm originally from Mauritius. I have been working as a quantity surveyor for the past few years in Australia. And it was my pleasure to meet Elinor. So we actually met on LinkedIn. I think it was somewhere last year. And then we met personally in one of her networking events beginning of this year. And what I really liked was she was like an inspiration. She is an inspiration to all of us. Always encouraging, always want us to succeed. And I really see her post almost every day. She keeps encouraging everybody. And for me, she's a role model for all the women in the construction industry. And yeah, I'm really excited to attend this webinar today and to learn more from her. And thank you, Anil, for organizing this. Thank you, Anilo, for your time today.
Okay.
What a beautiful full circle moment. Thank you so much, Nirvana. This is an absolute historical moment in time and one that I will carry with me until the end of time. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Nirvana. Thank you very much indeed. You're a role model, and I'm sure you inspire many, many young girls and young women and young boys and young men as well to get to where you are today. I know Australia has a massive lockdown, and your mental health should be very good, both of you as well. So let me introduce quickly Elinor. And can we have a big round of applause for both ladies, everyone? I think they deserve it, to Nirvana and Elinor as well. Thank you for this historic moment as well. So big round of applause for both of them. Nirvana, you can please switch off your video, and I will leave you there as well. So thank you much. So before finally I introduce you now, and then you can just put your screen on. So just bear with us, and I just want to make sure I've got the screen right as well. Okay. Right, here we go, and I'll share that with you. So thank you, Nirvana, and just to present you Elinor finally, as it was no surprise for Elinor. So Elinor, Elinor Moshe is an ambitious and driven thought leader and dedicated man in the construction industry. Her passion to guide, inspire, and direct future leaders and industry professionals to construct their career lead to founding the successful platform, the Construction Coach. Elinor has been featured in the Australian National Construction Review, Property Council of Australia's top 500 women in property program in 2019, a top 100 women in construction, and is frequently speaker, guest lecturer, and panelist. Elinor is also the host of the successful postcard, Constructing You, and it's only one around the world with this podcast, which is fantastic. Her book, which is amazing, released in August 2020, Elinor's book, Constructing Your Career, is one of its kind for people who want inspirational, practical action, and conventional career intelligence to construct their career. She holds a Master's of Construction Management and a Bachelor's of Environment from the University of Melbourne. I was going to say University of Mauritius. And she started as an architect, and then obviously I'm sure she'll talk about that as well. So please join me in welcoming Elinor. And before I start, I just wanted to make sure we have a quick poll question as well. So how many of you have been thinking of becoming an expert? I know there's procrastination and everything else around it. So let me just share this invite, the poll with you, and I'm gonna relaunch polling, and hopefully you can see that. So how many of you have been thinking of becoming an expert? So please put your vote in, and be good to know how many of you have been thinking of becoming an expert. I know there's loads of things being thrown in life, families, friends, and social events, incidents and things like that, and suddenly you get stopped by not doing what you want. But I think it's important. We've got 165 of you right now, so it's fantastic to see all of you here as well. Thank you for being here. So already 65% of you have voted. Please put your vote in. I know some of you might not see the Zoom questionnaire because of some technical issues, but already 70% of you have voted. So I'm going to share the result with Elinor now before we really kick off the presentation. All right, so share result. Here we go. So Elinor, we have 94% says they have been thinking of becoming an expert, and 6% are not too sure yet. So quickly, what's your thought on that, Elinor, before you start sharing your slides?
I think it shows a level of ambition and caliber of professionals that are in the room, but there is always going to be one differentiating factor, is those that actually walk down the path less traveled and those that forever stay and speculate. So nonetheless, they are phenomenal results.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much indeed. Let's capture that. And thank you everyone for voting. Elinor, all yours. And thank you for being here and for your time and effort today. Hugely appreciate it. And just to let you know, everyone, Elinor is only 29 years old. So anything is possible. And Elinor, just quick advice from you. Anybody watching right now, you know, whether they are 20, they are 29, maybe people at 29 have just started, and people at 35 have just started. What message do you have for them? Because they might think, I'm not young enough or I'm old enough. What message do you have for all of them?
It has nothing to do with age, but everything to do with your mental reality. Whatever the first part of constructing your own reality is to actually change your philosophy. If you change your philosophy, you change your thoughts, that aligns with your feelings, then your actions, then your results. So it doesn't matter where you are right now. What matters is, are you willing to take that first courageous step to first of all work on your mindset and your skill set? And you will be absolutely surprised at what can happen in 12 months alone. I have been on this thought leadership journey for only 12 months, and I get to speak to an intercontinental audience. So it has nothing to do with age, but everything to do with your vision and your future.
Thank you. Thank you much indeed, Elinor. All yours. Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Anil. That would have to be the most phenomenal introduction that I have received to a webinar. But again, Anil, thank you so much. And I did want to mention Nirvana and how wonderful it is that we get to connect in such a way. But above all, I love your passion. I love your dedication to the industry, to its people and its future. And congratulations on 10,000 attendees in your CPD series. That is phenomenal. And personally, it is an absolute honor to have my first international webinar with you on the topic of positioning yourself as an expert in your industry, our industry, of course. So I did cover at the start what you can expect to learn from me, but I will be taking you through the risks of pure professionalism. I'll be showing you how to understand the experts industry, what it actually means in terms of solving a problem and standing out. Now, like Anil, I love interaction. This isn't a monologue. So if I say something that is of a paradigm shift to you, something that has caught your attention, say the words "aha" in the chat box, okay? I'll be watching. I want to see that you are with me. So if I have said something that has caught your attention, that is interesting to you, or that has caused a paradigm shift, meaning you haven't thought of it that way before, type in "aha" in the comments. But before I get started, I would like to ask one thing from you, and please answer in the chat box. Do I have your permission to be blunt with you, to be honest with you, and to be direct with you? I want to be forthright with you and challenge some beliefs that are holding you back. Do I have your permission? Please say yes in the chat box. My intent with this is only to serve you, not to disturb you.
Yeah, lots of yeses coming in from everybody right now.
Everyone's yes, so thank you very much. Thank you for your permission. Let's get into it. There we go. I don't need to go through me. Anil did a phenomenal result. I'm gonna have to get you to do that all the time with me. Let's start with positioning yourself as an expert. In order to know where there is, we actually.
Sorry, just a quick one. I wanted to hear about your background quickly, because I know I gave you an introduction, but I've learned a lot more about you on your book as well. But obviously, what I've done was just a small. But I just wanted to know, you know, the way you came up from the construction side, you get into architecture, didn't quite like it, and then felt, no, that's not for me. I want you to explore that a bit, because there's a lot of people watching right now they might not be liking what they're doing, and then is that fear of like, what do I do next? You've done it, you've shown it. I'd love to hear from you on that, please.
Of course, Anil. I graduated from the University of Melbourne with an architecture degree in hand, and I was starting to realize through my architecture degree that I do not love this. It wasn't for me. I am a creative, but not in that typical conventional sense. And what I found during my architecture degree was that I was far more drawn towards the structure, the processes, the legalities, the finances. I found construction to be far more holistic in its approach to the built environment. And I do love the people and the projects of our building industry. And back then I made a very big call to leave architecture behind because I just could not see a future in it for me. I couldn't see myself being a CAD monkey. My colleagues at the time, they were getting interviews and they had these portfolios. The glue was still drying on my model. It was not for me. So I took a big leap of faith, and based on the intelligence that I had at the time, I enrolled in my master's degree, and it opened up a whole new world for me. It was everything at once and nothing at the same time. I was absolutely fascinated with construction. And I did enter the industry in the first year of my master's degree. From a technical perspective, I've been working in construction for 7 years. And I got to a point in my career as well when you're working really hard, you're doing what you thought you would do, this is how a career would look like. And I got to a point in time where I thought, is this it? This can't be it. I arrived at a point in time in my career where I felt stuck. I felt like I had stagnated. You know, I went on this roller coaster, and then I got to that point, and I was doing this for a really long time. And at the same time, I also did the introspection. This is the work that is actually required to grow, to get out of your comfort zone. So at the same time, I was feeling very stuck, very unsatisfied with my career, but at the same time, I was undertaking a lot of work on myself. What is the greatest project that you will ever get to work on? It is you. It has always been you, not externalities. Yeah. And I started realizing, I know I want more from my career, but what does that look like? What does that mean? And I always knew that for me, speaking and people and mentoring is so important to me. I love doing it. It is my zone of genius. And when you have an idea, when you have a certain pull into your future, the universe will align people and opportunities around you that you need to create that future. So on the 16th of June, 2019, I met my mentor, Ron Malhotra, one of the greatest people on this planet that I get to call my mentor. And I set down the thought leadership pathway. Thought leadership is the experts industry, which I will be talking through to you today. And it has been the best 12 months of my career. Wow. It is, the podcast, the book is what you see. They are the outcomes. They are just the start of the outcomes, but it is so much more than that. It is being not just recognized, but being able to create so much impact and influence, not just to my community anymore. It is now the international community. And it is very much in part because of the economy that we are in. We are in the social economy, which I will be talking to you today. But it is because once in my career, just once, I made an unconventional decision. I took a path that was less traveled. I took a path where I didn't know, standing at the outset, what it would look like. Did it lead me here? And it just took one brave decision. And that is how I get to do what I get to do today. It's why I get to have conversations with Anil. It's why I get to have Nirvana at my events. It's all these wonderful things that is a consequence of realizing that a career isn't this conventional aspect that fits in a box. So I hope that's the background, Anil. I hope I answered your question.
Just quick one before you launch. We talked about books at such a young age. You managed to put a book. I'm sure a lot of people watching you right now want to write a book. What's your advice? Because I envy you. You inspire me. You've done a lot of things at such a young age, but how do you get that drive to write a book? And I'm sure many of us would love to write a book about ourselves, So just your thought on that quickly.
The book is an outcome of me spending 8 months identifying my message, identifying my own passion, my purpose, what problem I am solving for people, my own brand. It was working on my communication. I went through a very, intensive process with my mentor, Ron, in order to have the book that I have. And when I started writing, I realized I've always had this book in me, but now it's actually been able to see the world and to do what I wanted it to do the most, which was to impact people. So in order for someone to write a book, there's actually a lot, it depends. Anyone can write a book, but do you want to be a bestseller, or do you want it to be the best impacting book? Because it's a whole level of difference, but everyone has a book within them. I truly do believe that, because we're all put here for some reason, and it is our duty to discover that.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed.
My absolute pleasure. And of course, in said book, I go into my journey in a lot more detail, but that is not the context of the webinar today. We're here to talk about you and your expertise. So in order to know where we want to go, we need to actually understand where we are today. As a professional, you wouldn't do anything without data tools. You wouldn't go into a construction site and use the most blunt hammer and the least sharp saw to do anything. It is unsafe, it is high risk, and it won't actually yield the desired results. Yet this is exactly how professionals approach their career. Being a professional as a whole used to be the epitome of career success, because there is a lot of emphasis, and there still is, emphasis on the academic education system, and the assumption that if you get trained via these systems, that you will then reach the epitome of career success. But it is actually very, very dangerous to think that once you become a professional, that's it. That is not when you stop building into your career. That is not when you stop investing in yourself. Quite frankly, that is when the learning actually begins. Being a professional isn't the end of a line. It is the beginning. And I want you to also realize that the education system was designed to produce laborers for capitalists. The education system was never designed to produce capitalists. For the avoidance of doubt, a capitalist is someone who makes money from money, and a laborer is someone who makes time from money. So even though people are in a white-collar profession and they do have these, very interesting, very engaging careers, it is still being born and birthed from a system that doesn't actually set you up to have massive career success. So for people that want to grow their career, well, what do you actually do? And what we have actually, and I will go into that, but what we have actually found ourselves in, and this is, a slight consequence of COVID, is that for the first time in the career of industry professionals and future leaders, that they've actually found themselves to be quite exposed and vulnerable, because I don't know how it is overseas, but in Australia, we are no longer in an industry boom. People enter into having a construction career because of how lucrative it is. You get to do the cool things, you get to be the project manager, you get to be on six-figure salaries just like that. But do people actually want to work in construction when it is not that lucrative? That is always the question. And what I have found is that these industry professionals who have come in, they have boarded the ship of construction, but they have no life vest and they don't have any oars. And now all of a sudden the seas are getting really, really rough. And they have found themselves to be at the behest of economic conditions. And people have found themselves to have no contingency. Would you go into a project with no contingency? Some clients do. That is very foolish behavior. But there is no contingency, no security, and no plan for their career. And I know this because my book is filled with unconventional career intelligence. And I've also been on that side, and I am also on the other side of being from just a professional to an expert in the industry. Because when you solely rely on conventional career intelligence, teamed with outdated tools and practices, for example, relying on the conventional academic system to get you ahead, it doesn't, then your career isn't safeguarded anymore. It is not so safe. And as I mentioned in in the response to your question, Anil, we are in the social age. We're not in the information age. We're not in the industrial age. We are in the social age. And we are also in a time of amplified competition. You're not just competing with the person from your company next door. You are now competing on the global stage. The world has gotten smaller because we are now in, call it the digital age, call it the social age. This is the economy that we are in. And if you want opportunity to come to you and not have to chase opportunity, then now is the time for you to actually do something about it. There's some questions and notes, but I'll get to that after. Because what you need to realize is that running your career by playing the same game and going down the same pathway as other professionals is running a massive career risk. Would you build a project with the same ethos and methodology as another company if that building wasn't structurally sound, if that building was built on weak foundations, if that building wasn't going to last for more than 1 year? No, you wouldn't. Then why do people go and do this exact same methodology for their career? To me, it does not make sense. But that is the situation. But there are people, there are professionals who desire more. And I'm a maximalist. I always want more. And society will be the first to tell you to just be happy with what you have, right? Just don't reach for too much because there's just not enough to go around. That is an absolute fallacy. But if you do desire more out of your career, to stand out, to be heard, to think differently, to create change, there is a career path which offers you all of this. And being that professional which is unsatisfied, which is not inspired by their work anymore, it doesn't have to be this way, because a career doesn't have to fit into a box. When we go to university, they say, here you go, here's a box. And you need to put a title on that box and you need to become that box. And this is how you have a career. When I was going through university, everyone said, be a project manager. And I said, okay, I'll be a project manager. What does that even mean? Is that actually everything that you can have in your career? No. People build their career based on boxes, which are just titles. I don't subscribe to titles. If I subscribe to titles, I wouldn't get to do anything of which I do today. You don't follow the path of everyone else. And I certainly have never adopted a herd mentality. And that has continuously served me well, but it takes a level of bravery and courage to do that. And I can only inspire you through my actions to do the same, because I want you to attain faster progression. And I want you to have more recognition and higher compensation in your career, regardless of any externalities. So as to recession-proof your career, so as to not be vulnerable and at risk of being just a professional, you position yourself as the expert in your organization and you start to stand out in a credible and notable fashion. It wouldn't be a webinar in 2020 if we didn't talk about COVID. Now, with COVID around, people are actually starting to confront reality and to pay attention. And COVID hasn't caused the problems. COVID has exposed the problems. It has exposed people's lack of preparation. It has exposed people's lack of mindset and skill set, not to just survive, but to thrive. There is a huge difference in that. And people are now all of a sudden, it's like going to a building site and like, I don't have any tools. I'm not ready to build this. COVID hasn't caused that. It's not COVID's fault. It's always the individual's fault that they have found themselves faced with this situation. But it will be the decisions that people make immediately and massively, which will change that trajectory. I'm not talking about, self-development as a whole, but it is in developing your high income skill set and your mindset. It's also about people are, wanting more and more from their life and lifestyle, but they're also doing less and less. And what that actually does is it reinforces mediocrity in the workplace, in your own behavior. And we do not need professionals who subscribe to mediocrity. We need people who are going to be the change, who are going to challenge the convention, who are going to create an alternative future to the one that we are currently facing. And that is what I'm doing. And that is what I need so many more people to do with me, because collectively can we raise and have mass consciousness to actually see what is going on. That is also part of the problem, is that people have come up through societal conditioning, and that conditioning is running deep in people for 30, 40, 50 years. And people aren't even seeing what is possible. They think this is a career. I want to level up in my career. Then I'm going to have to wait to get a promotion. I'm going to go do an MBA, or I will only go and, you know, I'll do something really small and negligible. It doesn't work that way anymore. And what we find is that we have professionals who are blind leading other professionals into the blindness. It's the blind leading the blind, and it doesn't work that way, because people, I found, they don't even dare to dream anymore. They don't even dare to take a risk. Your risk right now is not actually taking a risk in itself.
Here we go. Right, yeah, because then the audience can see the split screen, because otherwise they see a little corner there. So just quick one. There's a very great question from somebody else right here. And I think I like that question. For me personally, I often worry that I'm not good enough to be the best professional. Does that ever go away? I worry that I don't know enough or work enough. I love the fact that you mentioned the box. Quickly, your thoughts on that.
That comes back to the mindset, Anonymous. So there's issues there, you know, without having an in-depth conversation, but there are issues with the conditioning, okay? The conditioning has run really deep. There is issues with self-esteem, and there's also no vision, because, you know, your self-image of yourself isn't actually developed. So you can't actually see yourself as this person. And what there is probably a lot happening is a lot of negative self-talk, and your subconscious mind is always listening to how you're feeling and your own negative self-talk. So currently there's probably a negative discourse that is happening in your reality, and that is just self-perpetuating. Does it go away? Absolutely it does. I'm brilliant. I am awesome. Anil is brilliant. Anil is awesome. Anil is excellent. But this confidence has come from, first and foremost, doing a lot of inner work first on myself, in order to be able to then project that outwards, and to have other people go through the same transformation.
Yeah, thank you, Elinor. There's a question from Prakash. Sorry, I missed one word when you mentioned there's a shortage of ... not a shortage of money. You mean shortage of resources?
There is no shortage of resources. There is only a shortage of resourcefulness.
Wow, awesome. Here we go, Prakash. So check that out for you. Question from a colleague of mine, Alvin, who's a project manager, 20 years plus now. Is having a mentor more appropriate at the start of a career, mid-career, or any time in one's life career? What's your thought on that?
Immediately.
Wow.
Why would you wait? Why would you actually wait for some miscellaneous point in time? What do you think is going to happen at that point in time? I have had a mentor at the start. I have a mentor now. Ron has had a mentor always for 12 years. It's not a matter of when, it's a matter of how can I get one immediately.
Wow, awesome, thank you. There's a question from Gideon. How do you ascertain who your real mentor should be? So how do you get to know, who's your type of mentor?
That's a fantastic question, Gideon, and I go into this discourse in a lot of detail in my book. The first thing that I look for in a mentor is, does that mentor have the results that I want? If that person doesn't have their results, why would I be interested in their advice or their mentoring? Where are they going to take me? Where they think is suitable? No. If that's what they think, well, is that in alignment with what I want? And that's why the first thing you actually have to understand is what it is that you want, because there is no shortage of mentors. I don't even call them mentors, who want to create their version of your reality. They will tell you, here's a box and this is what you need to do, right? So you need to first of all know what you want, and then you need to find a mentor who has those results and can get you there. That is how you assess mentoring. I also look at mentoring. Would I trade places with them? If I don't want to trade places with them, again, why do I want their results? Why do I want their advice? Because remember, their advice is a product of their thinking, and their thinking has gotten them to where they are today. So if I'm not interested in it, I'm not interested in their mentoring either.
Wow, awesome. I will take a few more questions before we go to part two. Cabo from Zambia, I'm enjoying. Aha, aha, aha. So Zambia,
Thank you,
keep enjoying,
Cabo.
mate. Keep enjoying from Zambia. Make sure you use the aha for the right purpose, of course. We've got Dr. Ibrahim. Hi, Dr. Ibrahim. What are the key skills required to move from professional to expert? So just quickly, one of the two skills from pro to expert.
I'm going to go through parts of that in the second half, but
Okay.
it's having influence. It's about having impact. It's about having leadership. It's about actually understanding how this industry wholly works. And this is what I take my mastermind participants through, is we go through a 6-month journey together in order to figure out what is their brand, because experts have a brand. We go through how to actually generate impact, influence, persuasion, and trust. We show them how to actually generate expert thinking. What is the mindset of an expert?
Right, thank you. Take last question before we move on to part two. We've got a question from Rahul. Hi, Elinor. I'm on the edge of my seat listening to you. My question is, should I become a professional first before becoming an expert? What's your thought on that?
That's a great question, Rahul, and please don't fall off your chair. In order to become an expert, you first of all need to be in an industry, right? So you do need to have insight into the pain points into an industry. You can be an expert at 1 year, because what you base your expertise on has nothing to do with your tenure or years of experience. It's all about the thinking.
Awesome. And I want to just share, just quickly, I've got one more question. There's a question from Prakash, who's a senior industry figure in our country. What really makes a person an expert, apart from just his title as an expert?
Your title, as in your job title, that doesn't have any weight. You can be a project manager, you can be a CEO, but that still doesn't make you an expert. But there is one thing there are a few things that experts have that professionals don't, and that is both leading edge ideas and a very unique and distinct and authentic personal brand.
Wow, awesome. Right, so we are getting to part two, but I want to share something quickly as well before we get to part two. But also, guys, be careful whenever you say aha in your room. Make sure your wife knows why you say aha, and make sure your husband knows why you say aha, because it's a dangerous word. So be careful what you do. It's just a webinar completely about education stuff between Elinor and Anil. So let me just share something quickly with you before we move on to I want to share that with you as well. You can see my screen as well, Elinor?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to share this before we move on. This is a quote from Elinor's book, The Construction and Property Industries are People Industries. After all, I love this. Except when we look at our built environment, as the project has been completed, it's always the name of the company that get promoted. Of course, every individual cannot be named if you are telling someone who built it, but there is not enough discourse on the importance of the people behind the project from many perspectives, which were from one of the fueling ideas of my podcast. So before I finish on that, there's two things that Elinor mentioned. I have worked on projects that were on paper difficult to say the least, where everything could go wrong. It did, and then continued to go pear-shaped. But the people I worked with were all exemplary. Everyone wanted to come to face the battle of that project day in, day out, because of the strong leadership and ownership displayed by everyone on the team. To date, I still consider it to be one of my favorite projects to have delivered. Now, the next one, before I introduce. Then, there have been projects where I've worked on that on paper, are considered to be, illustrious, career-defining, and a project most people would yearn to get on. Yet, the lackluster leadership team and the lack of formative culture, teamwork, conducive to delivering exceptional results, made facing the project in and out nothing less than a chore and a nightmare to work. So if you can go back to share your screen as well and know, and what's your thought on that beautiful quote about people with good project and people with bad project? Off you go.
It comes, when it comes to the people in the project, you really have to be conscious about, if you want to be a high performer, are you surrounding yourself with high performers? Because people inadvertently become the sum of the 5 people that they hang out with. So I'm very lucky to have Ron in my circle. I'm very lucky to have the amazing clients that I do. But when you aren't conscious as to who you are working with and what projects you are on, that is how your career, that's when you say, I'm getting out of the driver's seat of my career. I'm going to sit in the passenger seat and I'm going to let this run off the cliff. That is the issue. So in my book, as you know, I really discuss both the people and the projects because it is a perfect alchemy, and individuals need to really have this level of consciousness and ownership about their career. Because as the quotes say, people have said, Elinor, this is a great project to work on, and it has nothing to do with my interests, with what I like doing, so on and so forth. Why would I spend my time working on it? Why? You don't have to. So that comes into that extreme ownership part. So thank you so very much, everyone, for your questions. Please keep the aha moments coming and certainly write down your questions. I know with Anil, we have Q&A time afterwards. And of course, if you love what you are listening to, tag it on social media, share it with your communities. To actually become an expert, you don't just walk into work the next day and say, I'm an expert, I'm good at this. That is not how it works. One of the first prerequisites of becoming an expert is to solve a problem. The industry is plagued with problems. And I want you to remember this, as long as there are problems in an organization, in an industry, in a person, in a community, there are opportunities. We live in a universe of duality. For every problem, there is a solution. For darkness, there is light. For hard, there is soft. For quiet, there is loud. For problem, there is solution. The thing is, no one has actually gone into, embrace the risk of solving a problem that they didn't create. The problems that I'm solving, I didn't create them, but I'm more than happy to solve them. I'm more than happy to dedicate my time, my resources, my efforts, my energies to solve them because they are very, very important. Now, most people aren't actually trained to pursue problems. People run away from problems. They see it, they go the other way, exactly.
Yeah.
They don't come on. People are trained to avoid problems and not solve them. Look at that through the education system. What does the education system get you to do? It gets you to rinse and repeat everything that's been discussed. This is the theory. Now I want you to put that in an essay. I want you to present it. I don't want you to come up with everything new because it hasn't been peer reviewed, right? People aren't tuned to solving problems. There was a study done by the Institute of Personality Assessment in Berkeley, and they found that institutions create thinkers who have non-dynamic thinking and who actually overthink. And when you have this type of thinking, it is non-dynamic, meaning it's not anything reflective of an entrepreneurial mindset. I'm not saying be an entrepreneur, I'm saying think like one. But institutions don't actually facilitate that. So that is why the self-actualization and the self-development that is required to have success in your career in the first place, that happens outside of the workplace, and that is on you. That is always going to be on you.
Wow.
And where experts come in, what experts think about, this is how I think, is we think about creating value. Anil, you have created value to 10,000 people more. You've tipped over. You have created value for 7 years for people. You are thinking like an expert. You are solving a problem in the marketplace. You have embraced risk. You have embraced risk by knowing that someone may not show up for 1 webinar, for 2 webinars, for 3. It might just be you. You have embraced risk, and this is why you get to have the phenomenal community that I get to be a part of. You have also moved past your job title. You have moved past security. And what you are doing, Anil, is you are not focusing on you. This webinar isn't just for your enjoyment. You're not focusing on yourself anymore. When I'm sitting there recording a podcast, I'm not focusing on me.
Yeah.
And when you become the person, this is how you become indispensable to an organization. This is how you start positioning yourself as the expert. Because there's one thing I need you to realize is that you cannot make your way up via merits and via qualifications. I've got 2 degrees, so what? You think someone read my book because I have a degree? No. You think my podcast is on 24,000 downloads in 7 months because I have a degree? Absolutely not. Do you think people read my book because I thought it was a great thing to do? Yes, it was, goodwill, but that's not enough. You can have the most good talents and the best of intentions, but that is still not enough. And again, Nelly touched on it at the start, but we live in the social age right now. You need an internet connection and an idea. And by adding value online, you can have a global community. Just like Anil, you have a global stage in which you can position yourself as the expert in. You're not just stuck to Mauritius, got people on all continents. I want you to think about it this way as well for everyone who is a bit funny about LinkedIn. There are 650 million users on LinkedIn.
Wow.
But only 1 million people have shared content. And everyone's saying, oh, it's a diluted marketplace. No, it's too much noise. It's too much this. 1 million. I'm going to leave it to you to figure out that percentage. It's not even 1%. So if you have a problem to solve, it needs to be something that you are both passionate about, something that is a big problem in your marketplace that everyone is talking about, but who's actually doing something about it? You are. And it's also something in which you have ready-made skills, but you're also willing to build skills in. But the difference between the professionals who might be doing this, for example, academic staff and researchers, yes, they may solve problems and they do a lot of research and they have these fantastic papers. Fantastic. You've given 7 years of your life to one piece of paper. But what's the problem? No one knows about it. Because you might have a high level of expertise, but you have a very low level of visibility.
Wow.
This is the experts industry. They have high expertise. They also have high visibility. And this is also something that Ron realized. It is that combination which gives you the quantum leaps in your career. Researchers, yes, they have lots of high expertise, but no one knows about it. Maybe 100 people, people in the faculty. Maybe if you work in an organization and you are the best, great, your organization knows about it. And maybe your competitor knows about it because they want to approach you. But that's it. We're all the other 650 million who could know about you. Are you going to continue doing your best work in the dark? Because that's what it's like just being a professional, where it's safe, where it's quiet. Because what is the big risk here? That someone from Alabama, a guy behind a keyboard, might not like what you have to say? Big deal. You're the one actually doing something, and you are the one who is actually out there trying to craft your visibility. And people have a lot of qualms with visibility because standing out, well, if you don't actually know your expertise and you don't know who you are and you have low self-esteem and not a lot of confidence because you haven't invested in your mindset a few years ago, then yeah, standing out is difficult because the minute someone says boo, people get scared and people get shut down and they're so sensitive. They're these sensitive snowflakes and they don't actually have the courage to keep on going because of a little bit of negative criticism. Standing out is first of all how you see yourself and actually not operating from a place of fear. Yes, I stand out and I know that standing out for me is a prerogative. That is where I actually feel the most comfortable. But it doesn't mean that I haven't gone through the work to actually allow myself to do that. Because marketing yourself, positioning yourself, promoting yourself is not an option. It is a must-have. Who's going to do that for you? I do it for me. Anil does it for himself. You're not going to have a whole marketing team that's going to do that for you. Of course not. It's always been on you. But professionals don't stand out. They are devoid of personality, and they're also devoid of tonality. Professionals work really, really hard to blend in and to not stand out. Being good at what you do isn't enough anymore. You need to add in that visibility in order to play into the experts industry. You have to stand out with expertise, because I'm sure you've met many people and you see them on Instagram, they stand out, but then you actually look at their content, there's nothing there. It's just this high level rubbish that doesn't actually serve you, right? So you can't just stand out and not actually have any expertise. You won't last for more than a year. That's really not so great. So having high expertise and high visibility allows you to stand out in a way that is respectable, that allows you to have influence, and that allows you to attract opportunities. Opportunities start coming to you. And you do this by strategically building a brand and constantly coming up with interesting ways to add value. And that comes back to your question, Anil, why did I write the book? Well, that was a very interesting way for me to solve a problem in the marketplace and to add value. The same as my podcast. There were no podcasts like mine. There still aren't podcasts like mine, but of course now everyone has a podcast, right? But that was an interesting way for me to add value to the marketplace.
Absolutely.
I'm going to need you to put your answers in the chat box. When it comes, so we're going deeper into standing out. When it comes to the metrics of career success, which two of these four actually matter the most? And Anil, you can't answer because you read my book.
Yeah.
Who you know, who knows you, and who you are. I want to see your answers. I'm going to pull up the chat box. Which two do you think matter the most when it comes to achieving massive career success in the experts industry?
So maybe also, Elinor, I can put that on the.
Could you do that?
Yeah, metrics of career success, which matter most.
That would be fantastic.
I'm just going to do that quickly. What you do, who you know, who knows you, and who are you, who knows you, and who you are. Right, I'm just going to share that with everybody now. It's a multiple question. And this is live going, like obviously doing right now. So let me see if I can do the poll now with that one. And here we go. So correct me if I'm okay there as well. So metric of career success, which matter most? Here we go. So so metric of career success, which matter most? What you do, who you know, who knows you, and who you are. So please put your vote in. 31% have voted already. Thank you. Please put your vote in. 50% of you have now voted. So just quickly, metric of career success, which matter most? Whether it's what you do, who you know, who knows you, or who you are. I think that's a really good one. I don't know where you got that from, Elinor, but I love that one. And I've read your book as well, so I think I will obviously see what the poll says. So I'm just going to stop polling here. 65% have voted, and I think you'll be surprised. I'm going to give about 15 more seconds because depending on where the zones are, the questions are coming through. So 65%, 115 of you have already voted. I'm going to end polling now and share the result. What do you think, before I share the result, Elinor, what do you think will prime here? Would it be the first one? What do you?
I think people will say who you know. I think that's a big one, and who you are. I think that's what people will say.
Okay, so you've got one right and one correct. Let me share the result now with you. And here we go. So I'll let you talk about that.
Great. Thank you so much for doing that poll on the fly. I appreciate it. What you do is just a skill set and a qualification that is replaceable. Who you know, now that only got 9%, so I won't go into detail, but who you know. You might know 100 people, but if 100 people don't know you, that's not influential. So the two most important factors of career success, of massive career success, is who you are.
Wow.
That is your personality. And that is who knows you, which is your influence. And the problem with who you are is that people don't actually take the time to understand who they are. Because I'm going to go into personal branding, but personal branding is an authentic expression of yourself. But this comes from knowing who you are. So how do you have a personal brand? And the key word is person. It's about your person without knowing who you are. Because we live in a social age, people connect to people. And Neil connected and Nirvana connected with me because of who I am. Not because I have this or that or A degree or B years of experience. No one asked me about that. It's who I am. Who knows you is your level of influence. If your level of influence is 100 people know you, the factor is always times, there's a 20x factor. So imagine if you had 15,000 people in your network, imagine 20 times that. That's how many people know you and know of you. Imagine the opportunities that come. Anil posted a webinar, 180 people on a Saturday across multiple countries. That is phenomenal. That is influence in action for you right there. There was a study done by the Carnegie Institute of Technology, which really hones in this point. 15% of career success is based on your technical laurels, but the 85% is your ability to lead. It's based on your personality, your ability to connect and negotiate. Let's talk about branding. Why you need a brand? Even if you think you don't have a brand, you do have a brand. It's just one that you're not controlling, you're not managing, and it's not actually one that is getting you the desired results. Your personal brand, as I said, it starts from, first of all, understanding all of who you are and being all of who you are and having a total congruency with your branding. Because when you have a personal brand, and think about your own decisions, this is the first time that a lot of us have met. You are very much here because I have a personal brand. You wouldn't really be bothered coming if it wasn't for a personal brand. There is a level of interest. Who is she? What could she say? What could I learn? Okay, there's something drew you in. That's a personal brand communicating to you before anything else. Because when you have a personal brand, it allows you to have influence and to grow your community, because people in your community, all of a sudden, they're not knowing you passively. People in my community, because of my brand, know me quite intimately and know me very well. And I love that. I love that they know all of who I am, okay? People start to trust you because you have a personal brand. Why do you trust BMW and not Hyundai maybe? Look at your own consumer decisions. You make them based on a brand, because the most powerful brands are those that are consistent. And I can assure you now that the professional world is sleeping. And for those that wake up and actually go through the process of constructing their personal brand, you have every opportunity to dominate and lead in the next decade. And trust me, the world needs leaders. When it comes to your expert positioning, Ron has put this really well. This is also part of the research that he has done. Because in a professional world, where you are positioning yourself in that 40%, it's me too. Me too. I'm also a project manager. It's me too. I'm also a contracts administrator. Me too. But then we also have me better. So me better is when people say, well, I have a master's degree and I have this qualification and I'm also licensed in this and I have 10 years of experience. So everyone's trying to be better and better based on the exact same qualifications. And then as a consumer, as a client going into the market, well, you're still not convincing me that you are the expert. But the expert positioning is me only. It's only me. And this is when you start to concern yourself with differentiation, not competition. because you've gone through the process of understanding it is you as the person which is different and what you stand for. Like I said before, people connect with people based on emotion, not logical conversations. But to do that, you actually need to expose your human. You need to actually stand in front of the mirror and look at your person, because having a personal brand is about your person, but people don't actually want to A, do the work, or B, confront their own person and take full ownership of that in order to have a really, really powerful one. The last part of expert positioning that I will talk you through is content creation.
Yeah.
Now, for a thought leader and for a thought leadership model of entrepreneurship, content creation is the lifeblood of everything that we do, because it is through our content that we demonstrate our value and our presence and our authority in the marketplace. It is through the content that I get people to think. It is through content that I get to share my message. It is that I get to share my thoughts. It is through content that I actually get to have Nirvana in my community. I wouldn't have met Nirvana if one of my posts didn't maybe show up in her feed, just like you, Anil. That is exactly what happened. But if I put out that content, that maybe wouldn't have happened. Content is how you continuously add value to your community. You're adding value all the time and you expect nothing in return. But this is the last part of the expert positioning, and this is how you can start influencing your income. When you become indispensable to an organization, guess what? You can demand a salary, can't you? They're not going to let you walk. They don't want you to walk, do they? Because you are the go-to person in your organization. It is through positioning yourself as an expert which you start to create brand assets, okay? It is through this book that I can reach more people, that I can bring more people into my world. You can have brand assets such as a podcast, such as a YouTube video, such as like what you're doing. This is your brand asset. It is your webinar series. You get pulled up for speaking. Come speak here, come speak there. So all of a sudden, because you have positioned yourself as an expert, you have started building levers that you can start influencing your own income. So if you think that you cannot influence your income if you work for someone else, you are already leaving opportunity on the table. That is an absolute fallacy. That is a career myth that people subscribe to. I can't do anything, so they don't do anything. And then they complain that they don't have enough money, and then they won't have enough money to retire. And then they certainly don't have enough money to do anything that they want.
Yeah. And just a quick one before we complete. People are actually buying your book live as we speak.
Thank you so very, very much. Imagine if this was a live event and I could sign it for everyone.
Yeah. And just a quick one before you conclude. You talk about brand and why people should be on LinkedIn. Why people should create a LinkedIn account, because people say, I don't have time for that. I don't have time because it's just, it's like binge watching or binge reading. But why do we have to have a LinkedIn account or an account, an account which is powerful in the world?
When you are on LinkedIn, you want to get to a point where you are a producer of content on LinkedIn, not a consumer. But to not be on LinkedIn is like not being invited to a party. It is a party that is always happening. There is always someone to talk to. Do you not want to talk to the most influential, the most brilliant minds in the world? Do you want to stay in your own bubble? And think about it. Your LinkedIn is your network. It is your social footprint. There was another study done that found if someone were to look you up online and they cannot find a digital footprint, their trust in you is broken within 5 seconds. This happens subconsciously. They don't even know it's happening. So if you are not online, and even if you are online and your social media footprint is incomplete, people already do not trust you. This happens subconsciously. And if you aren't on LinkedIn, okay, let's say you want to launch something. Who are you going to launch it to?
Yeah.
Let's say you invite people to a webinar. Who are you going to invite? Let's say you want a job tomorrow because you were made redundant. Who are you going to find? What network are you going to reach out to?
Yeah.
People realize that they need their LinkedIn profile when it's all gone pear-shaped. that's too late. You need to start building your LinkedIn legacy from today.
Awesome. I'm just going to pick up the questions. We've got quite a few, so I'll try to answer all the questions. So guys, if you can, please do not put any more questions. That's the only option I don't have to stop the questions. But just quickly, Xavier said content creation, just like a new presentation slide before introducing the presenter. I'm not too sure about that, Xavier, but thank you very much indeed. Hi, Elinor. I've already purchased the Kindle version of your book. Fantastic. Thank you, Rahul. There's a question that's very good from Dr. Deva from Amity University. So would it be correct to say life is a big DIY, do it yourself? As one starts to solve a problem, and that may lead to expertise. What's your thought on that?
Can you repeat the question, Anil? I was just trying to find.
Would it be correct to say life is a big DIY, do it yourself, by Dr. Deva from Amity University? As one starts to solve a problem, and that may lead to expertise. So what's your thought on the DIY? Very interesting connotation there.
I do like that connotation. That is very construction. It is more than DIY, right? You can try and go about this and to try and figure it all out yourself, but that will take a long time. So what you do to fast track that process and to get to where you want to go faster, then you look at the people who have crafted both high expertise and high visibility in their industry, and you do whatever it takes to work with them.
Awesome, thank you very much indeed. There's a question from Charles. Great presentation, Elinor, was a very eye-opener. Do you agree with the system? Do you agree with the system is broken? And colleges are consistently teaching to model people to fit the broken system. So I think that's a general question to everyone here listening in the audience. That how is the system? What's your thought on the educational system?
So let's look at a system. What is a system? A system is made up of the sum of its parts. What are the parts in the system? The parts are the people. Is it the system that's broken or the people who are broken? It's the people. It's people because they are relying on governments. They are relying on their employer. They are relying on someone else. They're relying on their manager. They're not investing in their mindset, in their skill set. They are not making themselves self-reliant. Okay. So yes, the system is broken, but in order to fix it, well, we can't do it. If you want to fix a system, we have to start with the sum of the parts. And that is with each and every individual. And that's part of my mission.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed. There's a question from Gideon. I understand that personal brand can achieve, but how do one not only build a brand, but sustain it? So we promote it and then you sustain it.
Yeah, so a personal brand is something that continuously evolves. It is meant to be an evolution, but there are always core values and core experiences that your brand is trying to achieve. But what you have to realize is that a brand is an extension of who you are as a person. And fundamentally, your DNA, your wiring, you were meant to be this person. You need to uncover it. And that's what always is at the crux of a personal brand.
Thank you. Just to let you know, audience, we've got 20 minutes left, so please bear with us as we conclude. I've got about 5-10 minutes for Elinor as well, which is again another surprise for her. Akash says something very important and poignant. Akash says, sometimes when one is so busy in the grind of day-to-day work, brought about by necessities such as family commitment, passions often take the form that is not work-related outside normal work. What's your views on that? So your passion get diminished by other activities as well.
Well, isn't that sentence flawed in itself? If you aren't working in alignment with your passion, you aren't reaching your zone of genius. You aren't reaching your zone of excellence because you're not doing something that is in alignment with your passion. And if you don't ever take the time to figure it out, it will never happen. You will reach 70 and go, well, that was too late. I should have gone on the roller coaster instead of stay on the merry-go-round. And I really do not subscribe to that lack of time. I also work full time. I have over 20 clients. I have a podcast. I do media marketing. I do speaking. I do session preparation. I have consultations. It is not a lack of time. It is only the lack of resourcefulness and actually prioritizing what it is that I need to do. Because if you never make something a priority, 10, 20, 30 years are going to go by and you're going to be asking the same question.
Yeah, thank you very much. We've got a question from Carmen from the UAE, I believe. What are the risks or disadvantages we have to be aware when marketing ourselves or self-branding? So quickly, what are the quick risks if you are self-branding and few disadvantages and risks that we need to be aware of?
It's having a congruent brand. So before I started working with Ron, I thought that I had a brand, but that brand was projecting exactly what I didn't want it to do. So it is knowing, first of all, who you are, because then your brand is an extension of that. And then is your brand actually cohesive and congruent with all of who you are? And I look at the marketplace and I can assure you that the answer is no.
All right, thank you. Gideon saying, thank you for a great time, Elinor and Aline. I'm enjoying my time. Thank you, Gideon. I've got about 8 questions to go. Question from Sajjad from Cape Town in South Africa. He's saying to you, thank you again for the presentation. Is being a leader a must to become an expert?
Great question, Sajjad. If you are an expert, you obviously have an idea and you want something to change. This is what leaders do. Leaders create change. So yes, when you are positioning yourself as an expert, you are leading other people. You are taking other people along with you. So yes, inherently, it is leadership as well.
All right, thank you. There's a statement from an anonymous attendee. I think I'd like to share that to you all. I was working in an international organization on contracts where I was recognized as an expert. And now I'm back to my former job where I'm being sidelined. So you are recognized as an expert in one place and the same person is not an expert in another place. So it all depends on the opportunities and the setting you are in. What's your thought on that, Elinor?
No, not at all. Am
Wow.
I in Mauritius? I don't work in Mauritius. I haven't stepped foot in the country. So no, expertise is globally recognized. And obviously if you have been recognized as an expert in an organization, well, that expertise is obviously just relevant to that workplace. It is not an industry problem. It is not a community problem. And obviously what is missing is that visibility, is that branding to be continuously recognized as an expert anywhere you go.
Yeah. And that leads to my next question, which I was going to ask you anyway. There's a question from Siva Raman from India. At 29, what is your secret to keep your confidence being an expert in the industry where people have spent more than double of your age? And that too predominantly ruled by other gender. So obviously he's also saying, look, women is minority, but you're right on top of it. And what's your advice to all of us watching you today?
That's a great question. So when you look at experience, does someone actually have 40 years of experience or do they have 1 year of experience repeated 40 times? Experience means nothing if it is not insightful, if it is a repeat. And in the experts industry and in the thought leadership industry, we build our businesses and our brands around our message because what we have to say has impact, has value. And that comes down to your thinking. It is about distinctive thinking. And I look at the conventional career intelligence that is out there from people who have been around for so long. It's not helping anyone. It's not serving anyone. And I want to see people win. I want you to achieve more. I want you to experience this type of career that is possible for you. So I don't get swayed by people who have more experience because if you actually listen to the thoughts that are coming out of them, they're not worth anything.
Yeah. I've got 4 more questions. I wanted to ask you one question in the middle. You are super confident and you've got so much rigor and you've got so much passion, does sometimes people mistake your confidence into arrogance? So what I'm saying is that, like, some of us, probably 50% of us said, you know, I like to be humble. I want to keep it humble. I want to be, you know, the humility is there. But what's your thought on that? Because I think it's important to be confident. It's so important. But I think it's the fine line between, you know, like arrogance and confidence. What's your view on that?
If someone calls me arrogant, that is a reflection of their worldview, not mine. That is not a reflection of me. That is a reflection of their own limitations. And when someone is actually criticizing something in someone else, what it actually means is that they really wish they had it for themselves. But instead of actually looking at themselves and going, how can I be more confident? They're downplaying that attribute. It's not confident. All of a sudden it's arrogance. All of a sudden it's stuck up. And I don't know how it is in Mauritius, but in Australia, people will, you know, there's tall poppy syndrome here. People will happily keep you down. They don't want you to go too far. They don't want you to have more and achieve more and do whatever it is that you want. No, they want to keep you close to where they are, because heaven forbid that you grow and you achieve and you have more. It's always a reflection of their limitations and their worldview. It has nothing to do with mine.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Can we have a big round of applause for these guys? I think I love that. I think it's important that we live on people perception, and we shouldn't be really. We should be doing what we thrive at, and we keep doing what we are best at. There's a question very important, and how do you thrive having the will to progress further in your career when you do not have family support, plus you had past traumas? So, you know, you're a young person, young man, young lady, you're just after 10 years, you're restarting your career again with lots of problems. How do you thrive, Elinor? What do you do? Just quick advice on that.
Look, obviously there's a lot of mindset work that needs to be addressed there, but it is realizing that you are not your story. You are not a product of your past story, and you have every ability, as long as you are alive, breathing and thinking, to change that trajectory for yourself. And if you look at someone like Ron came to Australia at the age of 9 with nothing. He was in very terrible circumstances in his early 20s. And then you look at everything that he is today. It has nothing to do with his circumstances. It has everything to do with the mindset and the decisions that you make. And there are 3 types of people that you shouldn't listen to in your career and your life, because they will hold you back. It is number 1, family. They want to keep you safe, but they don't know what's best for you. Number 2, it is friends. They are going to be very quick to judge, and you're going to lose a lot of people when you start growing, and that is a great thing. And fools. You do not listen to fools. We do not listen to family, friends, or fools.
Wow. And again, we've got 10 minutes to go now. Your dad, when you had a podcast, your dad said something very important. And I didn't manage to tell you that last time when I had the talk with you and dad. But your dad said something very important. If a family quarrels, if a family fights among themselves, then there's not much love and wealth in the family. But if a family kind of really have love, then the wealth automatically comes in and everything else. Quickly, your thoughts to all the young audience and the not so young audience watching. I think that was very poignant what your dad said there. And your dad is 80 plus, right, by the way. Your dad is 80 plus.
Yes, that is. So Anil is talking about a Father's Day special podcast episode on Constructing You, where I interviewed my dad and he shared his life wisdom. And my dad has always, consciously created a home that allows people to flourish, but that may not be the case for everyone. So you need to work on creating the conditions that allow you to flourish.
Wow, awesome. I'm just going to read, there's 2 more questions. Thank you so much, Anil and Elinor, for the great talk. We've got Learn, Lena Fern. This is the best presentation I've attended in a very long time. 100% of ahas moment. So glad we've done it. So thank you very much indeed. That one, outstanding CPD, well done. Thank you. Lots of aha moment. Again, guys, be careful whenever you're saying ahas, because your mom or dad or your husband or wife might be thinking, you might be watching something different. Thank you, Ruan. 2 more questions. There's a question from Vince from Conakry, Guinea, which is West Africa. How to manifest high expertise and visibility approach in oneself? Will a mentor guide us to make it reality, to manifest the expertise and the visibility? What's your thought on that?
Of course, a mentor will do that, and that is one of my masterminds, Magnify Your Construction Career. It is for people who want to become a renowned expert in their organization and their industry. So it is a 6-month mastermind that I collaborate with Ron Malhotra in order to afford people the opportunity to do that. So yes, of course, a mentor will get you there, and this is what we do.
Awesome. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for the amazing webinar. You're so inspirational. And then finally, there's a question there. I agree that conditioning went wrong and we are chasing a rat race. But how to change the mindset now and get on to mindset what you're suggesting? So just quickly, generally, that's the last question. In terms of mindset, how do you get your mindset to be strong and to change it and to really think positive as opposed to the naysayers?
To have the mindset that I have today, it was the opportunity that I got to work with Ron. I mean, even before that, I always had a strong mindset. I was always very strong-willed and future-focused, but to have this undefeatable mindset has come from working with a mentor or someone like Ron. But even before that, there were a lot of books that certainly allowed me to access the brilliant minds of other people, and it is not far of the classics of the world. It's Napoleon Hill. I really loved the book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, Think and Grow Rich. So I grew up with books. I'm an only child, and books were my friends for a very long time, especially when there were none. And that's what really allowed me to delve into the worlds and the mindsets of other people. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much indeed. We're going to do a poll survey now. I've got 5 minutes left, and it's obviously already 6 p.m. at yours, Elinor?
6:48.
Wow.
Wow, time flies.
Time flies.
It went like
yeah, I mean, I know you would. I know you talk for the world. You talk for Australia. I know that for sure. But I want to share a poll quickly now, and it's a very interesting one. And I think relaunch polling. So everyone, if you can please do a vote. And on this one, that's the vote. So are you ready to position yourself as an expert now, having listened to Elinor? So we'd love to have your honest opinion. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to be that expert. I'm ready to invest. I'm ready. I've already read the book. So please, are you ready to position yourself? Be honest, be genuine. The poll are not being tweaked or anything. Is there, is being totally independent. So please, please, please put your vote in. Are you ready to position yourself as an expert? And then we will have a final tribute, which I will share with everybody before we conclude our fantastic webinar on a Saturday. So I'm going to share already 100 of you have voted, 60% that is. So please, please, please vote. I know some of you on Google Chrome, sometimes you can't get the poll. I appreciate that. So please, 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 if you can put the vote, 98 of you have voted, and I'm just going to wait for the last 100 before I share the poll. So please, 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 if you can please put a vote in. All right, here we go. 101 have voted. So I'm going to share the poll. And are you ready for that result, Elinor? So it seems to me, are you ready to position yourself an expert? Let me have your thought on that. So a whopping 94% have said yes. Wow. And already a massive increase. What's your thought on that, Elinor?
I want to see 94% of people take that same amount of massive and immediate action to make that a reality. That is phenomenal.
All right, thank you. So give me 5 minutes of your time, everybody, before we conclude. I'm going to share something very special. And I'm going to, if you can see my slide as well. So you can have a bit of a water, a quick breather as well, Elinor. So
thank you.
So part 2 done. Thank you, massive thank you. Can we put your hands up for Elinor, please, and your little emoji to the amazing webinar, all as a way of giving back from Australia. And it's already 6 p.m. there, which is fantastic. And I know Elinor's mum is asking her for food already there. So no problem at all. Quick survey. So this is the book. Everybody was asking about the book. Elinor has put the book on there as well, on the chat box. So please have a look there. I want to just share a few quotes because I've highlighted most of Elinor's book. So as Anne Sweeney, formerly the co-chair of Disney Media, confirmed, define success on your own terms, achieve it by your own rules, and build a life you're proud to live. And what Elinor goes on to say, in my opinion, your technical aptitude only account for 10% of your career success, because we can teach technicality to anyone who has an ability to comprehend. Whether they're interested is a different story. Where people falter as they move up the change is they continue to solely rely on the technical skill to attain progression, higher remuneration, and recognition. Few more quotes. What matters most today is who you are, your personality, your value, your attribute, which we just talked about. If you don't make the time to work on creating the life you want, you are eventually going to be forced to spend a lot of time dealing with the life you don't want, right? And finally, to me, this is the one, and you'll see this on the Amazon reviews as well. It's not enough to be inspired or motivated by your goal. You need to be obsessed. When you're obsessed with your goal, there's no point sacrificing. Sometimes something has to give when pursuing your goal. Maybe it's the nightly Netflix binge to read a book. Maybe it's giving up seeing friends on the daily to work on you. If your goal can't create the level of obsession, then you haven't the dream large enough. Your vision doesn't excite you enough, and you need to go back and dig a lot deeper. For me to write this book, it was all I did, day in, day out, until it was done. Because when I become obsessed, you do most important thing, taking action on the goal. Most people don't realize the goal because they don't do enough work. So I want to share a video before we do a final tribute. Even Elinor doesn't know about that, so we're just going to give you a video.
Doesn't.
Do you want to have an impact? So let me share this video. It's a nice video with a music which gets a bit emotional at the end. So let me share the video with you guys as we go on LinkedIn now live. So let me just do that, and if I can just do the share, and we go live now. And if you can, please, if you can hear the video and the video and the sound, please let me know. Okay, let me just make.
Are you someone who goes into work and looks at a certain process or looks at certain structures and goes, I think this could be done in a better way? There are more effective ways of doing this. If I was in charge, this is what I would do. Well, you don't need to be in charge of an organization. You don't need to have a leadership position, nor do you really need to be at the upper echelon of an organization in order to have impact and to be heard. This could be done from any level, but creating impact is a very strategic roadmap. Creating impact doesn't just happen by doing haphazard activities in no certain order. Impact is something that is crafted, that is constructed, like everything else. So whether that is within your organization, whether that is within your immediate and local community, crafting impact has strategy to it. And I know the difference in impact that you can make, because there was a time pre my thought leadership journey where I thought if I do this, if I network, if I build more contacts, I will be impactful. Definitely not. That is the path of greatest resistance. And then I went on the thought leadership journey, and I didn't even realize back then that this level of impact for people is possible. It is possible within your organization, within your industry. If you can see yourself as being a person of impact, I want to hear from you. What are you trying to achieve? What do you want other people to know about you? What are you trying to say? Because you can't simply just say it and expect people to listen. There's a lot more to it. Reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
Wow. Can we have a big round of applause for Elinor, everyone? I think it was amazing. I love the music as well. And I think I will, let me just finish on my slide before we say final goodbye to everyone. Please, big round of applause, everyone. I love it. The music is fantastic as well. I don't want this to end, to be honest with you. We've talked about the expert already. Take care, be safe, everyone. And we will have our 100th webinar on the 29th of October by the one and only Dr. Louise Brooks-Smith, who is the first female global president of RICS after 146 years of the institution existence, a renowned public speaker, a commentator, a sought-after member of national and international governance board and advisory panel and global role model. And I've got my two colleagues as well, Jess Cleland, Group Managing Director of Role, and Arti Ram as well, working for Accenture in Mauritius, Portfolio Manager. So I'm delighted to have my role model, Louise, will be joining us, being the global RICS president. So on this note, I would like to thank everybody for being here. It's been almost a two-hour session of CPD. Please don't forget to email me your feedback. Please email me your name for the certificate, but please give me all your feedback, which I will forward to Elinor as well. Fantastic. So I'm just gonna stop there. And obviously, we'd love to have your final thoughts. We're all here. We're 150 still listening to you after 2 hours. I can't thank people enough. But what's your thought? And being, finishing on expert, you've seen your video, you've got plenty of stuff, and your book as well, which is a fantastic wisdom. It's so relatable. Your book is so relatable. When I read it, I can see myself in it. So your thought to any young people out there, maybe your age at 29, maybe 39, 49, 50, or 20, or 18. What's your advice to them if they are restarting the career? Your final thought, Elinor.
Find the people who have the results that you want, align yourself with them, and take immediate and massive action. The transformation that you are seeking is going to be in the action. It's not going to be operating out of a place of fear or on the sidelines. And I have to say, Anil, this has been one of the most phenomenal webinar experiences. Thank you for all your efforts into all your micro surprises. I am so deeply moved and honored to share this platform with you and to have shared these 2 incredible hours on my afternoon with you. It is phenomenal in everything that you do, your effort, your consideration. I can also not thank you enough. I'm extremely grateful for everything that you do. So thank you, Anil.
All right, thank you. So just quick one, some colleagues have to say thank you on the Q&A tab. We've got Ashraf, thank you, Elinor. Thank you very much, Neil. We have so many of us. Ashraf there, we've got Samuel, thank you so much. We've got QSV Pendi, Profound, thank you. We've got Priyanka, thanks Elinor and Anil, both a great impression, Priyanka Rana as well, thank you very much indeed. Abdullah, thank you for this wonderful lecture. Network wasn't quite right, so thank you. So guys, thank you everyone. It's been an honor to have you all. Elinor, thank you. I'm sure we'll see you again at some point, but thank you everyone for being here. And Elinor, again, it's been a 2-hour CPD. So everybody, you'll get a 2-hour certificate of attendance, as well as I'll be sending you all the links, the books, all of it from Elinor through email, just like we did for the Zoom link as well. So I'll be doing that. And Elinor, a final thought from you. How do you see the world after COVID-19? I'm sure you interviewed a lot of people. How do you see the world now? Because without COVID, we wouldn't be here. So there has been a drastic change in the way we do things. What's your final thought on COVID and the glimmer of hope for everyone?
The future has always been yours to create, and the future has always been yours to be set and designed and constructed by you.
All right, fantastic. Guys, it's heartbreaking to see you leave. It's heartbreaking to see Elinor leave. Thank you to Nirvana as well to be here with us. So thank you very much indeed, and take care. So goodbye. Have a great Saturday wherever you're in the world, and have a great Sunday. Let's celebrate on LinkedIn. Nirvana, just a quick word, Nirvana, you're there as well. What's your thought on the entire webinar today, watching from Australia as well?
It was very interesting, and I learned a lot as usual from Elinor. So yeah, I'm looking forward to her next step.
You're so lucky to have Elinor in front of you because you'll be able to meet her. So I really envy you there as well. Nirvana. So thank you, and a big wave to everyone. Thank you very much. Elinor, a big wave, and as we said, goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Goodbye, and see you when we see you. Bye.